and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, people of Earth and any other planet that is tuning into Ysn right now. This is Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell, who's a little bit quick on the draw today, getting on the show.
I'm just so excited for all the coaches we got going on today. So I wanted to waste no time. I wanted to jump right into it.
Speaking of really cool coaches coming on, we are going to lead off the show with our first spring sports preview of the season. Let's go!
It's softball too, Anthony.
I know. Steve Ward, the head coach of the Austintown Fitz softball team, joining us, and man, are we ready for this. Coach, how we doing today?
What's up, guys? Everything is great here in Falcon Land. Just planning another practice today, maybe get outside a little bit, work on that turf, and hopefully get a little bit better.
I know this weather's got to make you feel like spring's right around the corner, giving you that softball, baseball itch, just like us here at the network too. Coach, like we like to do with all of our coaches, I know you posted a picture on social with the kind of meet the team segment, but I want to kind of go a little bit more in depth with this. Why don't you kind of give us some of your big players that you expect to have a lot of the weight kind of holstered on their shoulders this year, and some players you think might surprise us in Falcon Nation?
Well, I'll tell you what, our senior leader, Maddie Taylor, signed to Seton Hill, had an excellent junior season, ready for her senior season, surrounded by Sophia, Kayla, Allison, and a newcomer, Samantha A, will be a senior on our roster this year. And with our senior leadership, we're really expecting great things. They set the tone for practice. They hold everybody accountable, and I'm very, very proud of our senior class this year. And, rounding out our juniors here, Maddie Budis was a runner for us last year. She's trying to get herself into the outfield or at second base. Behind the plate, McKenna Hogan, her pedigree, what she did last year, just brings a big bat. And I tell you what, she is just an absolute calming influence for any pitcher that she gets to catch for. Caitlin Mitchell, I mean, what a phenomenal sophomore year she had, and she's just getting better and better. Looking at Bella Tofil and Ayla Ray, you can't say one without the other. They've been teammates for a long time on the travel side of things, and both of them are 500 hitters as a freshman. So I feel like I am so unbelievably blessed to be just a member of this team and see it take form and shape and see how they do.
When you look at it in such a successful season you guys had last year and so many good things happened for you guys, how do you kind of build off that and keep the momentum of this program going and try to build the confidence off of last year, but also instill into the kids that last year was last year and this team's obviously going to be a little bit different and it's a new year and you have to work just as hard to get all the things done that you did last year?
Well, I left her name off the list, but you guys talked about her yesterday. Sydney Watson, you guys know through softball, it runs through the circle. And so I want to talk about her in this segment, is the fact that you have a freshman coming in with this high level of intensity, high work ethic. And I tell you what, above all, she's integrated herself as one of the team leaders automatically, just with her personality, just with her hard work. She is a no days off mentality. So, going from a generational talent of Lydia Spalding to another generational talent of now Sydney Watts, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be playing the lottery this year because my luck couldn't get any better. Our team's luck couldn't get any better with this wonderful person and the talent surrounding her. So when we talk about last year, we talk about how we really gained confidence, how we really focused on some of the little things that make winners and sometimes lose games for us. And I tell you what, it's a positive environment around here. We have a ton of fun learning, getting better, And I tell you what, it's one of the hardest working groups I've ever had.
To come with the talent on this team, it also gets paired with a pretty decent schedule year to year. Looking ahead on this schedule, too, I've breezed through it, but highlight some of the big games, too, that you could catch home games or on the road even, too, for this Falcons team.
Well, to start us out, I'm going to tell you right now, our scrimmages are going to be no joke. We're starting out with our season-ending loss to Hoover. We're starting out with them with the scrimmage to kind of see where we stand, and then we'll finish with Walsh Jesuit, who's another district title regional contender. And we'll sandwich in between Ursuline and South Range. So our scrimmages are going to let us know exactly where we are and where we need to go to. But I tell you, you look at the talent in the AAC, Howland is bringing some nice freshmen into their program. They have some nice returners. Obviously, Boardman has Lester in the circle, and she has surrounding talent. Canfield has Toth on the mound coming back for her sophomore campaign, and they're surrounded. I don't believe they lost very much at all. So we really know we got our work cut out for us. And any AAC game, you're going to see a lot of action. Definitely come down and check it out.
What about some games that you look forward to non-conference in the regular season that you guys have to square off with?
Well, you know, we got Poland coming up. That's going to be a fun one. We try and get a lot of Division I teams, but this year, you know, some of our parents at the end of the season said, hey, we really want to see some local teams. So we picked up Mooney, we picked up Poland, we have Ursuline in the scrimmage. We couldn't work out a game. Columbiana has a really nice team, so we're fortunate to schedule with them. So you're going to see us a lot more local this year, but every game we're going to come to play, no matter what the team, because it's our philosophy is about how we prepare, and no matter if we're playing the highest ranked team or the lowest ranked team, we want to approach it the same way. So you'll hopefully see a solid Falcon squad every time you come out to see us.
And a quick follow-up for that, because I like that you mentioned that teams like Columbiana are coming to play you, because you're in a situation where, that game in particular, that's not just bolstering your own schedule, but you can help out the Division 4, Division 3 teams, and they want to seek you out and come play you guys as someone that's leading this program. What does it mean to you when there's a bunch of local good programs in the area that teams like that could go after, but they want to schedule you guys to sharpen their blades and to kind of get themselves ready for a tournament? What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the girls, because they're the talent out there. They're the ones that create the excitement. They're the ones that, put in those hours of hard work that are away from me that I'm aware of, but I'm not with them. It's the constant traveling. So it feels good for our program, absolutely, to know that, we are a destination team, that people want to come here. They want to come see our facility, which is absolutely amazing. It keeps getting better with some of the improvements that they're doing. I believe we are scheduled for districts to be here again, and I know we're working on trying to get the regional games here as well. So to be that destination team that teams are kind of calling and looking for, that's a testament to the hard work of our girls and just our facilities and program as a whole.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Coach. I think the facilities that Fitch has been able to put up there are absolutely beautiful, and all the renovations done for that little circle is amazing too. You keep mentioning the program, and you know what? Talking about the fact that you have two generational talents back to back like that, I feel like it has a lot to do with the program. Youth level up, it's keeping these girls invested in softball for a long period of time. So with that, I want to give you a moment to shout out those youth coaches and some of those other big proponents of what makes this program so influential to getting these girls ready before they get to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, starting out is Austintown Community Baseball, our ACB league. That is the ground level start for us. And we have camps going on this week and into the weekend, and we have about 60 players signed up throughout. And it's great to see these younger kids. The 10U team went on a state title run for their league last year. It was a lot of fun watching them. So we have a ton of talent in the lower levels, and our girls do such an amazing job with connecting to them. They'll spend the extra time with them. So when girls come to games, after games, they're just not with teammates. They're going out and saying hi to the younger kids. They're saying, hey, you know what, come on the field, we'll go run some bases, and just have fun and make it a really positive experience. So again, top to bottom, this program, while we're very fortunate where we are right now, I do believe that we're going to keep getting better in the future, just with the investment our girls are putting into the younger girls. And obviously travel is the way to go. So from ACB is that next stepping stone to the travel leagues. And we're very fortunate to have a very solid group, Honey Badgers, located in Youngstown. And throughout, I know we have a lot of outlaws. We have a lot of premier travel players in our program.
The softball nerd in me could break down your whole roster and ask you about, this player, this player, this player. But I do want to talk about Maddie Taylor a little bit, senior leader. Obviously, we know what she can do from the power standpoint. We've seen what she can do in the weight room. Talk about what her leadership brings and some of the things that we probably don't get to see just come into a game that she does for this program.
On a daily, I'm contacting Maddie for one thing or another to ask about the team, to deal with the team, to get this message out to the team, to say, what's our next step? What do you see that we need to do? You as a leader, where are some areas that we need to improve? So we put a lot on Maddie's shoulders, and she's responded. I can't tell you the leadership that she's done, because when Lydia and our seniors all left, and we had some wonderful seniors, Lydia obviously was in the circle, so she got most of the press, but our whole senior group of Haley Tarr, Sydney Schaefer, Maya McNevin, Alyssa Melody, all of them had great roles, and our senior class is doing it now, but Maddie Taylor is definitely taken the top spot in terms of who I look to get the team going where we need them to go.
I mean, this team should be very exciting to watch with all the support that you guys are going to get this year. I mean, talk about that community support, how influential it is for you guys going game to game, because it seems like there's always chairs packed around, and those bleachers always seem to be packed for softball games.
Well, I think us playing softball the right way, that the girls, have a fun atmosphere. They work hard, but my goodness, do we have a lot of fun. And so when you typically come to a practice or you see us and you see a lot of smiles and, them having a good time, it's this crazy thing that we've been able to do, that all of us have bought in the fact that we're going to work really hard, but we're going to have a good time in that. And so I think that energy permeates out through the community as well, because, especially last year, kids are walking through the community with their Letterman's jackets or their shirts, and the community members are responding, "Hey, that's Fitch softball, great job, keep it going, we're reading about you, we're seeing you on the news, we're hearing about you through Ysn, keep doing what you're doing." And I can't tell you the amount of community support that we get through both online, and just once in a great while, I'll even get a handwritten letter from somebody that just comes in that's congratulating the program, and they're proud to be an alumni of Fitch High School. So the community support, I mean, this is why I teach here. This is why I live here. This is why my kids go here, because we are one big family in Austintown.
Coach, before we let you go, I know you haven't had too much time with the team yet. The season's just kind of getting underway, but it does not take long to gauge a team's personality and gauge, what a team's going to kind of be shaped like. What do you think, in your opinion, makes this year's Fitch softball team unique?
Well, it's kind of something you mentioned earlier of separating last year to this year. Like we talk about, this is Maddie Taylor and the seniors year 4 in terms of a team. So it's a brand new team for, Sydney and the freshmen. It's year 1. And what we're seeing at practice is a lot of excitement again. I think our power numbers, believe it or not, will go up. I think we've gotten a lot stronger in the off season. And I tell you, we're just going to be a tough team. Everybody stays healthy. We keep doing things the right way. We're just going to be a tough team for teams to go against, and we look forward to having another exciting season.
Coach, my final question for you, and for anyone who may not know about the Falcons program, you highlighted too that the community is one big family. It's kind of a 2-part question. What does it mean to you to be a Lady Falcon, and what do you hope it means to the girls to have it worn across their chest? And what keeps you coming back to this coaching softball every year?
Again, I'm so excited and so thrilled and honored to be a member of this team. It is just the relationships that keep us coming back, whether it's the coaching relationships. I mean, we're all best friends outside the lines. And, with players, we stay in contact with them for years to go. I was just texting Lydia and said this morning, just, checking in with them. And so for me, what keeps me coming back again is just the relationships. Wins and losses all take care of themselves. I mean, that's going to be what it's going to be. It's a byproduct of doing things right. But it's the laughter, it's the development, it's developing these young people's characteristics and character, most importantly, to go be successful people onward. And they've really responded top to bottom in our program, and we're having a lot of fun. So there's no way I'm going to step away from this anytime soon, because it's a blast right now.
Coach, speaking of Lydia Spalding, road trip next week to Pitt. You in?
Well, as of now, we are not in. We've been trying to work it, but that is our Hoover scrimmage, and unfortunately, that looks like the best best weather date of the week.
Right.
So we're trying to move it to Tuesday or Thursday or something, and it hasn't worked out. But we do have a coach's trip looking down the line to go out there and to Happy Valley, or we were talking about going to East Lansing and go see her up there. Or Ann Arbor, awesome. I should say, not East Lansing.
I think, isn't Ann Arbor closer than East Lansing to us?
Yeah, it was, but I don't know if I could bring myself to go up there.
Oh. No, I wouldn't pass up the opportunity to meet Coach Hutch. That's just my softball.
So walking into my classroom right now, we got McKenna and senior Allie Foley. They're coming in just to pay a visit, as they always do. So when you talk about what keeps coming back, Ty, it's these relationships that these girls stop in constantly throughout the day, that they're constantly checking in, that they always have a smile on the face, that they're a positive force in this school. And, love every single one of these kids.
I know it firsthand, Coach. Fitch has a knack for getting good coaches, and it's the relationships that always keeps this community together. We loved having you on, Coach, and I know we'll have you on sometime again throughout the season.
I appreciate it, guys. Best of luck. Love what you're doing for the community and all sports. And when I say all sports, the coverage you guys do is nothing short of amazing. So we really appreciate it. I know every single coach has YSN just in their hearts. So thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. That was our softball preview, the first one of the season. We're so excited. But, hey, basketball is not over yet. We still got teams left in the regionals, and one of those teams left is Camel, the Rockin' Red Devils, and because of that, Nick Canarino gets another chance to join us on Running Point. Coach, thank you so much for continuing to join us on Running Point to preview these more and more tournament games.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Coach, first and foremost, let's go back to the game that got you here. And I mean, when we talk about this game against Jefferson, it was a tale of two halves if I ever saw. I mean, first half competitive, they were able to keep pace with you. And then it was that third quarter run. It seemed like you guys just turned on the switch. Kevin Moore was making dunks, getting the gym into it. What were some of the big keys you saw from first to second half that really made the difference in this one?
I thought first half we turned the ball over a lot and kind of uncharacteristically. I think we had 9 in the first half. I think we averaged like 10 or 11 per game. So that was kind of uncharacteristic. They hit some shots too in the first half. But second half, I just thought our ball pressure and defensive intensity just picked up. I thought we rebounded really well. And like I said, we hit some shots and, had some dunks that kind of got that place rocking a little bit and kind of took off from there.
Coach, seeing this team being able to take over a game, like Ty said, I mean, it was competitive for a while, but you guys just it almost looked like you made the decision that you were going to win this game and there was going to be nothing to stop you from it. That mentality is going to be so important going forward in this tournament the further you guys go. Talk about what that comes from and how much you've seen it this year from your guys.
I think we've seen it a lot, and we see it every day at practice. I mean, we have 10 guys that can play varsity basketball. With probably 2 more that, are right on the cusp of it. And when you have those kind of numbers and that kind of talent, every day is a battle, and we're just competing every day. And then, like you said, when games come around, you're trying to find who's going to light the spark. We've had some games where, we were down late, weren't really sure what the outcome was going to be. And, somebody steps up, someone makes a play, someone makes a stop, whatever the case may be. But we got a lot of different guys who can do some things for us. And I just think it comes from every day competing with each other.
I think the most impressive thing with this team is just the ability to always score at such a high pace. And it just seems like they're moving the ball so fluently now. And you mentioned the numbers of guys that could play varsity basketball. And just realizing now that it's the first district title since 2009, I mean, you guys won the MVAC outright. Has it occurred to you or has it hit you yet that you're truly in a really special year right now that's going on with this program?
I mean, we knew it was going to be special. I guess when you're kind of in it, people kind of say some things about, how special it is. I mean, I think when you kind of think about that, you wait till it's over, because we don't know how far this is going to go. We hope it keeps going, and then we can kind of reflect after the season with that. But I'm just enjoying these guys, just interacting every day, just competing, watching film, game plan, stuff like that. It's a good group to be around. It makes the days fly by. This season absolutely flew by. But we're just enjoying every second of it.
And when you talk about watching film and making a game plan, I'm sure you've been really busy trying to game plan against this Mooney team that's coming in off the win over Springfield. Obviously, their defense, especially in their last 2 games, has flexed their muscles. What kind of things do you see on tape that Mooney is going to pose a threat to you guys? And what kind of things do you see that you'll have to do to win this game?
Well, I mean, we're very familiar with each other. Off seasons around here, you get a lot of games played with going against area schools, and us and Mooney have been doing a lot of stuff. We scrimmage before the season. So, I mean, our kids know their kids, and, their kids know our kids. But like you said, they're just a gritty group, defensively very tough, very smart team. They're going to take advantage of mistakes. We know what they're going to run, or we think we know what they're going to run versus us, I should say. We just got to make sure we're ready for it. We're going to see that 1-2-2 full court. We got to make sure we're not trying to dribble through it to beat it. You've seen some of the teams in the playoffs who try to dribble to beat it, and they just get buried. They do a very good job of executing what they do. But again, we're going to have to put pressure on people. Bigger court here, try to wear some people down. That's where I think our depth kind of comes in, where we have a lot of guys who can come in and out and put some pressure on people. And I think it's going to be an exciting game tomorrow.
Just to go along with that, talk about the excitement of going down to Canton Memorial Fieldhouse and just getting a chance to play in that special place too. And I mean, just getting this opportunity to continue now with fans for the first time in a couple of years playing in a regional semi.
Oh, it's absolutely exciting. Just that venue down there, and what they're doing with that area down there is just unbelievable. The construction going on and the new buildings and fields and all that stuff going on down there. It's exciting. They're putting a lot of money in down there, and that stadium, that arena speaks for itself. The floor's awesome. The seating all the way around, the 2 levels. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to guess that the place is going to be pretty packed with people from the Youngstown area.
When you watch this, when you think about this game and you think about the last practices winding down before it, what are going to be some of your overarching messages, or maybe the final messages in the last practice before this game that you talk to your team about?
I mean, I think it's pretty much the same for us. It's don't get too high with the highs, don't get too low with the lows. I think we've done a pretty good job of being pretty even keel throughout the year. You're going to have bad quarters, you're going to have bad possessions. But I think we do a good job of picking each other up. We don't hang our heads. We got good leadership. And, it's just hoping this isn't the last practice we have. That's the message. You want to keep playing, you got to win. And again, if we want to get to our, end of season goals, then we're going to have to take care of business tomorrow.
We've coined them the Rockin' Red Devils for a reason, and that's because of the fan support that they've been able to get. I mean, it gets these gyms rocking. And when we got the news that broke that Howland's gym was going to be sold out, and you guys had the big end, and every single seat was occupied by Red Devil faithful, just talk to me about community support, because it's not the biggest community in the world, but it seemed like everyone in Camel was in that gym that night.
Yeah, I mean, just so happy, just so proud to be a part of this. This community's been waiting for a team like this for a while. And like you said, we're coming out for warm-ups, and the gym's already packed on our side. You didn't really realize it till after the game, with the medals and the nets cutting and stuff, with the people on the floor, kind of just open your eyes like, wow, there are a ton of Camel people here. They're all giving you hugs and high fives and, sending emails and texts and all that stuff about how proud they are. And it's awesome to see. Hopefully we get to keep it going. But like I said, I'm sure they're going to be out tomorrow, and that arena is going to be packed.
You've talked about it before in this interview, but you guys, especially you as coaches, you don't get to really take it in during the season because you're so focused on the game and the winning and everything. What's it kind of been like trying to not get caught up and get caught taking everything in and taking the talent on this team in and taking the community support in and just trying to almost, for lack of a better term, tunnel vision into what you guys have to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly hasn't been that difficult just because, we haven't been that successful in the past, and some of those years, where you're going into some games, where like, oh man, like let's try to keep this under 20, and when you're dealing with that for a few years and now you got a group like this where you like your chances in every game you play, you don't want to take it for granted because you never know when it's going to happen again. We're very fortunate to have this group. And like I said, I'm just enjoying every day of it, and hopefully it doesn't end.
Coach, just one more question for me. Looking at this this Mooney game, we kind of got the keys to the game from you two. Just looking real quickly on, I mean, obviously your offense has been hitting strides with 70 plus every single game. You guys did it again the last one too. This one looks like it could be a defensive battle. What can you say about your team's defensive side of the ball when they have to get in those defensive grudge matches? How well have you seen them fare in those kind of games this season? Obviously, you would think pretty well with just the one loss on the season.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think our defense is kind of underrated. We're not giving up a ton of points, but I think our offense kind of is what everyone sees. You see the points, but again, a lot of those points are caused from our defense. A lot of them are getting the rebounds off of one shot, not giving up second and third chance opportunities. Some of those games where we've struggled a little bit, we've given some second and third opportunities and possessions. But I think lately our defensive pressure, the ball pressure we have, we got a couple guys who we really like on the ball and we'll take on the ball versus anybody. And that really disrupts teams. I think you saw it in the second half of the last couple games where, they're starting their offense back behind the volleyball line close to half court. And it's tough to run your offense from that far because then you're letting the athletes like Kevin and Xavion and Skevos and them guys really shoot passing lanes and be there for steals. And then again, when we get in transition, we like when we're in transition because, again, we got a lot of people who can score.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and helping us preview this game against Mooney tomorrow night. We're looking forward to it so much. I know Ty will be up there along with Alec Caberna for the call on YSN. We thank you so much for the time again, and we wish you the best of luck in this game.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on. See you tomorrow, Ty.
See you tomorrow, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Nick Canarino, the head coach of the Camel Red Devils that are rocking and rolling into the regionals for the first time, like you said, since 2009.
I want a logo with like 3 Red Devils, all with like guitars, drums. Like I want a rockin' Red Devils.
A t-shirt
logo.
That's like,
yeah, like a rockin' Red Devils. I love the shirts, Camel versus everybody. By the way, those are phenomenal shirts.
That's what it felt like all year because, like he said, I mean, this Camel program has been down the past couple of years, and I don't think people outside the Camel community really saw this coming. If you didn't know what they were bringing in, you didn't know the storm was coming. But it was coming hard, and now all of a sudden it's Camel versus the world. And I know West Branch has that during football season. They had that during basketball as well, Beloit versus the world. But now Camel's kind of adopting it a little bit. And I'm sure, as crazy as it sounds, they might be the underdogs tomorrow night in a lot of people's eyes because Mooney's established. They've been here before. They've been there. They've done that. They have kids that know how to win. But this Camel team is going to go into that Canton Memorial Fieldhouse with that chip on their shoulder, that underdog mentality, that us against the world mentality, and they're gonna put on a show.
The scary thing is you can't let either of these teams feel like an underdog because both
Right.
Mooney and Camel love that feeling. They love feeling like they're being counted out in this game.
This is kind of like the feeling of that Matthews JFK game where both teams had a realistic argument to say we're the underdogs and we can have that underdog mentality because on paper Matthews was the favorite in this game. They were 24-1. They were putting together a really special thing, but everyone knew kind of culture wise, program wise, prestige wise, JFK was the favorite in that game. Everyone kind of expected JFK to win based on who they are. It's almost like if a Duke team is in a down year and they play maybe like an NC State that's having a really good season. Well, yeah, NC State's going to be the favorite on paper, but Duke's Duke, right? So it's one of those things where Mooney is Mooney, and everyone kind of looks at Mooney and says, oh, we're going to expect him to win because of the program. But then you look on paper and you think, Well, Camel's probably the favorite in this game because they've only lost once, and they're obviously doing what they're doing. So I think both teams can kind of feed into that underdog mentality in this game.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's going to be interesting, the high-flying offense versus the defense of Mooney. And both teams can get it up and get it going, too. I mean, if Mooney has a good shooting night, we can easily see this game go into the 70s then.
Like, remember what we saw from Mooney just 2 games ago. I mean, it was like shooting the lights out on Liberty.
And if Camel has a bad shooting night, we could see this game down in the 40s to 50s. Because, I mean, Camel can also hold teams, too, defensively. So, I mean, this game can quite literally go many different ways is the thing going into it.
Mooney wants it low scoring, though. Mooney wants it low scoring, I think. Absolutely. Like, Mooney would love a game that is in the 40s or even better yet.
I would think
better yet in the 30s. I mean, they held that Springfield offense that has been really good all year. Maybe not as high-flying as Camel, but just as electric, and they held them to 31 points.
Less than 10 points a quarter for that Springfield offense.
Adam Wary had 2 points.
You talk about shutting
down. You realize how
down
hard that is to hold Adam Wary to 2 points?
And the interesting thing about it is both teams have so many different players that can beat you. And what Mooney did really well was shut down Springfield's best player. Yes, and if they go in shutting down Kevin Moore, we've seen Rootstown do that too. Cardinal, not Rootstown. Cardinal do that as well, where they shut down Kevin Moore to 2.5 points, and Xavier Leonard had 17. So it's like Camel has guys that step up when you try to shut down their best player. So it's going to be interesting because I feel like you're going to just see straight up a lot of man-to-man defense. Mooney's going to have to trap sometimes, but it's going to be your best going up against my best. Let's see who wins.
And I think Coach Canarino is right. We saw Springfield try to dribble through it. It didn't work out well. I know Camel is going to – some of these kids, they can't get into the trap of believing in their athleticism and saying, I can dribble right through this trap. Not going to work. You can't dribble through it. Ball can move faster in the air than it can when you're dribbling on the run. So you got to pass out of the press.
And the way that they've been moving the ball as of late has been poetry in motion with the pass.
People see the highlights of Camel and think, oh, they're just like this ISO team that puts people one-on-one and just beats them off the – no. They run really good offensive sets.
They have 4 guys
really well.
4 guys that could realistically make a full court pass too on the run off of one rebound, and they're getting transition. But they look like a professional team sometimes with the way that they.
Without if the NBA still ran actual offense, that's what Camel would look like. The NBA doesn't run actual offense; they just run ISOs all the time.
It's college level offense.
College. There you go.
More than professional, honestly. But
even though college is starting to get into the ISO game a little bit too.
Little bit.
We'll progress. We'll digress. I should say we'll digress. And we'll take our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll kind of regather our thoughts, maybe talk about Fitch softball a little bit since we had Steve Ward on the top of the show. And then we'll talk about more of these regional games. We have Tom Siegfried coming on at 1 o'clock to talk to us. Kerry Palermo will come on at 1:40 as well. So don't go anywhere. This is Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we continue this Tuesday episode of Running Point. Ty, we just had 2 great coaches from 2 different sports on as we started our spring sports preview with Steve Ward from Austintown Fitch, and then we also got a chance to talk to Nick Canarino, the head coach of the Camel boys basketball program, about their game tomorrow night against Mooney. Ty, before we go further, we didn't really get a chance to digest Coach Ward's interview and some of the things that we're looking forward to during softball season, and particularly Fitch softball season. We talked about Sydney Watts yesterday, and actually he got a lot of love on social media. I mean, people saw it, they cut it, and I saw a lot of people appreciating that we took the time to talk about her. But I've been told several times that not only is she a fantastic pitcher in the circle, but she's going to bring a pretty impressive power bat to that lineup as well.
I'm excited to get a chance to see her firsthand, honestly. And I mean, just to hear someone have this kind of fiery mentality about the sport and be so impassioned and be only a freshman too. I think that's incredible. And you've seen where it's been able to take Lydia Spalding. I mean, and it might be able to take Watts that same way. I mean, you never know. There's no guarantees in sports, but I mean, she keeps that work ethic up. She keeps that mentality, and she just keeps striving under Coach Ward and under this program. She's going to get some good competition to face. So iron's going to sharpen iron.
And then you got players like Ayla Ray that are going to be so dangerous if they get on the base pass. And then she had a high on-base percentage last year anyway. Once she gets on the base, it's almost an automatic double if she doesn't get one off the bat because she is so fast on the base pass. not enough people talk about Caitlin Mitchell and what she means to this team, and what an incredible sophomore season she had, and what future she has in front of them. We talked a lot about Maddie Taylor in that interview, but what a leader, on and off the I almost said court because I'm in basketball mode. On and off the field, one of the best power hitters I think in the area. When you look at her swing, it's pure, not a lot of lower body movement. It's just it's really good. They have a lot of good players, but that AAC also has a lot of really good players. So it's not a gimme in the AAC just because Fitch has all these really talented pieces on their roster.
And what with their scrimmaging, what with their playing too in the non-conference, I think there's going to be a lot of competition in this one. And you know what? I love the new ballpark. I love the way that it's been designed. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, Steve Ward complimented it. I'm going to compliment it as well. I mean, it's beautiful. The press box is nice. I mean, it's a really nice facility right there next to the baseball field too. So having games going on together, it's unfortunate because I want to be in two places at once. I want to be able to call baseball and softball at the same time this season, but I'm going to have to do my due diligence and go 50-50 on it. But it's going to be fun to see those that area packed with both softball and baseball fans at the same time, with games going on both sides at the same time.
A lot of stairs to that press box, though.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, because I'll stay on the ground behind home plate. That's my happy place.
No, I mean, Anthony, you do a good job. You do a good job. I know you're excited for softball season, and I know you're probably going to get out to get some of those times when I'm at the baseball field for Fitch. I know you're going to probably be sneaking in a couple times to the softball field for Fitch.
Yep. I'll be there. If you're not covering, I'll just grab it. Let me just squeeze right in there.
Both these teams should be fun too. As we'll look forward to talk to more softball and baseball coaches on Running Point as this weekend the weeks progress up until opening day, which is just a few.
Scrimmages start next week. So if you do want to get out and see some softball, baseball next week, these teams are going to be out in the fields playing each other. I mean, weather permitting, of course, because we're still in the middle of the March. But if you want to get out.
We had a 64-day the other day.
I know.
It's starting to warm up.
It's got me itching.
I mean, I ultimately know one more time the Ohio's going to throw a curveball. There you go. They're going to throw a good curveball into it, and they're going to throw us a
little screwball for the softball fans.
Yeah. Either a snow day or a 30-degree day and just a real cold and bitter day. I think we're going to get one more of those before the end of it.
Since we're together on Running Point, I gotta tell you, if I ever hear you say on the mound instead of in the circle, I'm gonna text you about it. And
well, it's not a mound in softball.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
You're not.
Some people like that. They just they're so used to saying on the mound that when they're talking about softball, they're like, on the mound. I
often have to remember all the terminology because there is some that isn't crossed. There's some terminology that does not cross baseball and softball. A lot of it, decent amount does. And how you can call it, but there's some terminology that doesn't. And I've said softball terms in baseball, and I've said baseball terms calling softball too.
Pet peeves of mine. In the circle, the pitchers are in the circle; they're not on the mound. And if someone calls this a rise ball a riser, that's makes my skin crawl.
A riser.
That's a riser right there. It's a rise ball. It's a pitch. It's a type of pitch. It's a fastball that moves up. You're gonna see Sidney Watts throw it a lot.
Anthony's getting steamed.
I have one of those signs in the outfield. It's called a rise ball.
You hear you hear like the PA call it a riser, and you're screaming out that
rise ball.
on a broadcast. So people that are watching YSN will hear you screaming at the PA announcer that it's a rise ball. Fun times. If only we had that too, like just a blooper reel. I'm sure if we looked back through like enough of like the recordings, like the off air before we start streaming the recordings, there's probably so many just like bloopers.
Like when I used to do games with Brennan Miller, shout out to B Miller who does a lot of good work for us still. Some of the stuff that we like, just the conversations that we have when we're streaming. I'm sure Brian, our tech producer, was like, someone stop these kids from getting on the air because this is getting out of hand. And then he had to listen to it because it was testing the stream. So fun times. We still haven't gotten to do a game with you. We got robbed. Maybe I'll just come out and do a softball game with you one time.
Yeah, for sure. You could sometime.
Got robbed of it in basketball because Fitch added the game last second.
Yeah, and I went to that one too, and it ended up being a good one, and we ended up getting more games covered.
Yeah.
Which ultimately we love giving more games for our communities.
One time we gotta get together.
Dynamic matchup.
One time. You gotta do a Running Point broadcast.
The Alec Caberna actually mentioned this to me when he told me we were thinking
as soon as you said his name, I thought the Casual Sports Podcast logo was gonna pop up on our corner.
Alec Caberna, when he messaged me too, he made a good point. The last time we teamed up for any kind of state run, it was JFK's baseball run, and they went all the way. We're taking
good mojo.
We're taking
he's on Mooney's side.
Whoever wins, Camel or Mooney, we're taking them. So
he's on Mooney's side. He's gonna be rocking that Mooney. You're gonna be rocking with the Red Devils.
Yeah, it should be fun though. That should be fun. We'll follow whoever comes out of that one too. And hey, who knows? We might see a team make it to state. We need to get one to state, right? We need to get one to the state finals.
Like, you got to call a state run with him. I called West Branch's regional tournament with him where they went to the regional finals.
That's incredible.
We both call in really big games with Alec Caberna. Who knew?
Who knew? And maybe it's
only
just
games that I've called with Alec Caberna. We're a regional softball game.
When Running Point mixes with casual sports, we make something happen.
Just don't put the logo on our show.
Yeah, don't put the logo on our show. Watch it. Shout out Brian, though. You mentioned him. We can't go without shouting out Brian. Does such a phenomenal job.
Don't shout out Brian enough.
You want to talk about a guy that is working the job of like 6 people and is doing a phenomenal job at it too, and probably doing a better job than 6 people could combine.
He's a firefighter. I know DJ likes to call him like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, but he's a firefighter in my mind because he is putting out like 6 fires at once. You know, if someone's camera doesn't work while someone's Wi-Fi is not working, at the same time that someone can't get into OBS, at the same time that whatever, someone showed up to the wrong school. Sorry, couldn't think of another thing. He has to deal with all that at once in this.
We always feel bad because I feel like every announcer knows and has been there where they've had to call Brian and like, Brian.
Like when I have an issue, I'm just like, oh man, I am so sorry, Brian.
I try to learn as much as I can. I can't be as smart as Brian with
most of the stuff, but there's still stuff that surprises me.
Yeah, I try to learn.
This never happened to me before. This has never happened to me before. How do I fix this?
Yeah, I always try to
just restart the computer. That's what I've learned.
Brian just on call always, it feels like, to fix anything at any given time, and he does a phenomenal job at it.
So we talked about this back on track because we're
you mentioned about Brian and we started thanking people, so I had to shout out Brian after you shouted him out.
We talked about this Camel Mooney game. But another game going on, obviously, that we're going to talk about. Actually, we're going to talk about all the games today. Louisville will play Cleveland Glenville. I believe it's Cleveland Glenville.
I believe you're correct.
And when you look at this game and you look at Louisville's chances to get to a regional final, I think they're pretty good. I mean, I've been able to do a little bit of research on Glenville. It's definitely a better draw than Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary, if you're going to pick one of the teams to be matched up with in the regionals. Not saying that, everyone that gets here is good. Louisville has their work cut out for them, and we'll talk to Coach Siegfried about that in a little bit. But I think Louisville actually matches up pretty well.
I think the schedule that they've put together helps them out, certainly, too.
Well, yeah, their schedule is ridiculous. I mean, you're going to say that against every team, but I don't know if Glenville has a one-on-one defender per se to stop Will Aljancic one-on-one consistently, which is something I think you really need to beat Louisville. I don't think you can afford to constantly have to double team Will Aljancic because I think they have other players that can beat you. So I think Glenville's going to get caught in either picking and choosing when they're going to double team him, and then also trying to find which one of their players matches up the best with him on defense and which player can really do the best job of matching up with him on defense. And yeah, hey, speaking of Coach Siegfried and Louisville, I think we're going to sort of bring him into this conversation and see what he thinks. Coach, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
I got it, Coach.
It's good news whenever we get to talk to Coach Siegfried again, because it just means he's made it further with his team in the tournament. I mean, Coach, let's first and foremost just talk about this Howland game. Competitive, it seemed like down the stretch, but you guys, you've been in a fair share of them, and you were able to pull off another one, it seemed like. What were some keys to this victory that you saw?
Yeah, I just thought that the obvious answer is just the start we got off to. I was really proud of the execution offensively and then defensively. I just thought our energy was tremendous. That showed through, I think, the rebound edge and really just getting them out of what they like to do in the first half. Second half, that showed through a little bit. It's a district championship, so obviously the Stars are not going to quit. And you saw that from Warren Howland's players. They really battled and tried to put a good run together in the second half. But I think our start was just a little too much and a little bit of a hole for them to dig out. But just proud of the effort, honestly, from our kids.
Coach, when you look at being able to play a team that already had beaten you earlier in the season and trying to stay confident, trying to wash that out, learn from it as much as possible, how much did you guys learn from that first matchup? How much did you watch that first matchup? And then how much of it was just kind of watching a little bit more current games and seeing how the teams have changed since that matchup as well?
Yeah, we learned a lot from that game. Coach Boubon had a heck of a game plan the first time we went over there. And we were not as prepared as we probably were this time for it. That was the first time we really saw that type of attention given to Will and just kind of allow the others to shoot at will. But at the same time, defensively, I thought was the difference in this game because, last time we really let them get going. Their guy had 36 or something like that, and he had 6 threes in the first half. And I thought Will's defense on him was the key, and then also the other guys just understanding game plan, and they have their role players really developed as the year went on, and I thought limiting them to very few points was the difference in our halftime margin.
Making it to the Sweet 16 is never an easy task to do for any division, but especially this division too. It's been a gauntlet. It continues to. For you to make it to the next one, you need to get through Cleveland, Glenville. What have you seen on tape from them that looks to be challenging for you? And what are some things that you hope to execute? Obviously, don't give away the whole book on this one, but let's just give a preview of this game, if you would.
Yeah, they're a very talented team, very resilient, have been down multiple times throughout the district. It seems to be the common trend with these teams. So I think they were down 9 to Talmadge in the semis going in the fourth, came back and won. They were down with like 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. They were down 4 to CVCA, came back and won. So like you said, just when you get to this level, people are asking me, tell me about Glenville, friends and family. And it's like, well, they're in the Sweet 16, so they're pretty darn good. They have a lead guard, Quarles, that, is a high level college guy, probably multiple games of 20, extremely quick, can shoot it. They surround him with a number of guys, and then they got a nice big man down low, and we're going to have to really do a good job keeping them in front of us, and also contesting the 3 ball, and then I think transition is going to be a big thing in this game as well. So it's just at every level, it's a different type of game. You go from south, to a game like Howland, and now you play Glenville, and down the road, if we're lucky enough to take care of business Thursday, then got a couple of teams there, one of which that people have heard of before in St. Vincent, St. Mary. You always know you're doing pretty well when you start watching some film on other teams and you see them playing at the Staples Center. you know that they're pretty good. So we're taking Glenville right now, but then then we'll see where this takes us. But it's just one practice at a time, one game at a time.
Coach, when you look at the schedule you've put together, we talked about it before you came on. Obviously, we've talked about it with you in length on how well it's going to prepare you for the tournament, but specifically the different styles of basketball that you've seen this year and how that helps you go. Like you said, you've seen a lot of different styles already in this tournament, and you're probably going to see a little bit of a different style from Glenville than you have in the past. So what has the schedule, is specifically the different styles of basketball you've seen this year, helped you guys kind of adjust to whatever a team comes out and does against you?
Yeah, this is a this is a team that likes to get up and down. Very similar to like a McKinley, an Alliance type team that we played this year. Lorraine is another team that comes to mind. Just a 4-out, 5-out, coming at you, rebound the ball very well. They defend very well, very disciplined. So we hope those games make this a little bit more familiar for us when we play a team like this. And the kids have seen it. We do this on purpose, as you mentioned, and I don't think there's anything that we're going to face that we really haven't seen this year. So that's the bonus of getting to this level and playing the competition that we played this year.
What can you say about your team's basketball IQ to be able to on the fly change when they see different defensive approaches and when they have to change things up on offense to make certain things work? What can you say about your team's IQ in that aspect?
It's a great question and great point, because that's probably the number one area that we've improved on throughout the course of the year. Our guys have been able to really change gears and go from one situation to the next. Like we had a situation around the year where we played South and Marlington back to back, and then we came back and played Jackson and McKinley back to back, and then we came back and played Orville and Northwest back to back. So it's one of those things you got to kind of change your mentality. Some teams we speak about wanting to speed them up. We want to create more opportunities, and there's other teams that we know they're going to bring the energy to us, and we want to do a good job of kind of controlling the tempo. And our guys have really learned a lot. And the key part of this is as well, at any given time, we have 2 freshmen, a sophomore, and underclassmen out there. And for them to buy in and understand how this works after playing, 6-minute quarters last year in 8th grade, or, JV minutes last year, it's just tremendous. And it shows you the focus. It shows you the team chemistry of everybody helping. And our seniors have been tremendous of helping the young guys along and kind of showing them the ropes and supporting them through all this.
Coach, you've had a lot of players mentioned and recognized by the District 4 coaches. I guess you would call it vote, or the district team, including Will Jancic being player of the year, but so many other players that are mentioned in that. What does it mean to you that this one that's coaches voted on, and obviously the geographical one are media votes?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to you for this one where the coaches vote, to have all these area coaches and the district coaches recognize your players as some of the best in the district?
Well, I just love it for the kids, because we're not in the league. So, back in the day when we were in the NBC, you get the accolades at the end of the year for the young men. And, I always enjoy that because, I remember, it was quite a while ago that when I was playing, it always feels good to be recognized for all your hard work and dedication in the off season. But this one is one of our rare opportunities. We have District 4, Northeast Inland, and Ohio. That's pretty much it. And for them to get that type of notoriety where you get, nearly half the players on the District 4 first team were Leopards. And then you get a freshman on honorable mention, which there is only first team and honorable mention. There is no second team in District 4. So basically our freshman was at the second level. That's 4 out of 5 starters for us. And I think it just shows the respect between that and getting the 2 seed in this district. It shows the respect that these teams have for us, and also the way that our kids carry themselves. We talk a lot about how you carry yourself against these teams. We're playing 22 different teams. We don't have that league schedule, so we're making impact on a lot of different teams each and every week. And we want them to think highly of our players and of our program. And obviously that showed through in that voting.
In this 15-year career of yours too, I can't explain the growth that Louisville has seen too, and then through these years of a tougher schedule now. Mm-hmm. So just talk to me. Reflect a little bit real quick on just the growth from year 1 until all the way now, and what would this win mean going into the next round for this Louisville program?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, these last week and a half, I haven't had a lot of sleep. It's been a lot of film and a lot of thinking and a lot of I don't want to go in any game with no rock unturned, left unturned. And, you start at the beginning of this process and, you have a vision, and that vision kind of changes as you go through. You start learning more about maybe your community, your program, the people around you, and you try to do the best you can to keep growing it and growing it and growing it. And I'll be honest with you, I had some pretty high expectations of where we could get Louisville basketball when I came in. We've exceeded those and now are going to a different level. And there's been different platforms. You get the youth program established, where now we have over 200 young men that come in every year with our youth program. You have 7 travel teams that go out there. You have 2 camps a year. You have multiple guys playing AAU. You get that first league title, and then you start playing the upper echelon teams and you beat the D1 teams. And now you win a district title and you're starting getting talked about in the same breath with a lot of the great programs, not in the county, but in Ohio. It just feels good because really it just comes down to work ethic. It's a lot of people buying in and supporting what you're doing. Tom Siegfried's nothing without youth coaches, without great assistants, great middle school coaches, parents, administrative support. It all plays together. You have to have a community that embraces it and wants to push along with you to get them to that spot. So it's special, and it's very special. On a side note, that when I started this, my son was literally just born. And now here he is 15 years later, part of my first district championship as a freshman. And I just seen this thing go full circle with where we started.
Coach, we talk about a lot of your players a lot. We talk about, I feel like every time you come on, we talk about Will Odchansik and what he's been able to do.
Rightfully so.
We talk about Hayden Nigro a lot and what he's been able to do for this team. But I want to talk about Tyler Bolden a little bit. First team, all district in District 4. Like you said, almost half the district is there. Talk about him. I know his family knows basketball. I mean, that's obvious with what his dad's doing at Ohio University as a women's basketball coach. Talk about what he means to this team and what kind of leadership he's brought.
And I make this statement and this is a hard statement to make when I've had the type of young men that I've had through this program, but there's never been a young man that has been more of an influence on team, a better leader, more selfless than Tyler Bolden. And then you throw on top of that he's one of probably the most skilled young men that I've ever coached, with a personality that just doesn't care if he gets accolades at all. It's all about the team. He's a young man that, would pick up the young kids to take them to lifting, to bring them to open gym, make sure they're okay, walk with them in the hallway. Like, he just does it all. And for him to have that moment in the district final, I think was just really, really good for him and his family. And like you said, it's definitely a basketball family. His mom is a tremendous woman. She brought him back to Louisville, wanted him to be around family, and obviously put a lot of trust in Louisville basketball to do the right thing for those boys. And he has 2 twins that are coming up next year to be freshmen, that are the same way. And I just can't be more thankful to her and the things that she's done for those boys and the way that she has kind of put those types of values in them. And then, of course, Bob knows a little bit about basketball at OU. He's been ultra successful. And, he has that part in Tyler's life as well, to help him along this journey. But just a tremendous young man. I mean, I could go on forever with him. He just does everything the right way, and just really proud to coach him and have a small piece of what he's done.
Coach, just final question for you now. I mean, just looking at the entirety of a 15-year career and just the success that you guys have been able to have. I mean, all the kids that have come through the program. I mean, throughout the regular season, it seems like it's game, practice, film in between, and then you get to the playoffs. It's all kinds of film watching. What is that love for basketball, and what is keeping you coming back to being a coach for this team year in and year out?
I mean, this is going to sound very bizarre as well. It's really not about basketball. basketball is the platform, in my opinion, that creates a lot of great opportunities for these young men to grow, to become better young men. Dedication, responsibility, commitment, selflessness, all these different attributes that will carry them through life. I just try to be somewhat of an avenue to push them in those directions. Obviously, their parents are the most important, and then to have those small pieces and parts in their lives to kind of justify their work, to show them and give them as much opportunity as possible and accolades for all their hard work and how it pays off. You brought up Will and Hayden earlier, the amount of time that they put in and dedication, and to see it pay off, that's a life lesson. That's what I want these young men doing. I want them to go out there and, be the best dads, be the best husbands, be the best workers, family people, neighbors, whatever, that they can be. And, to be honest with you, there's been 65 seniors that have gone through my program. And when I look at those pictures on the wall, for the most part, they're all doing those types of things. And that's what makes me proud.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate the time as always. We hope that we get to talk to you again, because that means that you made it to a regional championship, and we would love nothing more if that regional championship had all YSN teams and it was Louisville versus Cheney. We're hoping that works out.
Absolutely. I'm all for that, and I will count on talking to you Friday at 1:00.
Let's go.
We hope to hear it, Coach.
All right. Take care.
Take care. I hope we have that planned. I hope we could say that that's scheduled Friday at 1:00. We're going to be talking with Coach Siegfried.
Gotta love when that guy comes on. He does so much for the Louisville program. We talk about so many coaches. We have so many great coaches in the area, in the YSN family. That's why on the Power Hour yesterday, it was so hard to talk about Coach of the Year candidates when we were having that discussion, and they were trying to bring the fans into the discussion. You could name 8 coaches that probably deserve to be Coach of the Year. Siegfried's one of them.
Oh, absolutely. And we talk about 15 years, and he's mentioned the youth programs. And that's called building a program and not just gearing a team up for one run. This has been a 15-year, appreciating the grind day in, day out, year by year, building and slowly brick by brick, like our terminology, building this house.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, building this house. They have a foundation that they laid 15 years ago, and they have a pretty nice house that they're building, and they're just taking it to the next level right now and adding more floors and adding more rooms and going to these different competitions now, going to Disney next year and playing more D1 teams. It's a school that's welcoming me into the next level too. And for the last 15 years has done nothing but continue to grow. And Coach Siegfried's a huge motor to that whole engine.
Ever since that show aired where Coach Siegfried did tell us that they were planning on going on to Disney next year, there were a couple of other coaches that messaged me and said, there might be some other YSN schools that might be going to Disney if things work out right. So not naming any names, not saying who, but there might be a couple of YSN teams going to Disney next year. Maybe that'll warrant a trip to Disney.
Fingers crossed.
Saying, I would love to interview Mickey Mouse live on Running Point.
That would be hilarious if we had Mickey Mouse on Running Point.
Tell me, Mickey. I can't even think of a question.
I just see that same face, like the mask of the face just smiling at you, and you're just talking.
It just exists.
It's like
thanks, Mickey, for that wonderful input. You're a gem.
Asks him about. It's just like, what do you think about East Liverpool basketball, Mickey?
Go up to Donald Duck and be like, Donald, why are you wearing a shirt but no pants? What's going on with this?
You ask Donald a personal question, and then you ask Mickey about East Liverpool basketball, or the East Liverpool and Beaver local rivalry.
Mickey, what do you think about East Liverpool, Beaver local? What side of the fence do you fall on?
What do you fall on?
Give me a thumbs up for
basketball teams out.
Give me a thumbs up for Beaver local. Give me a wink for East Liverpool.
Basketball teams up in Ohio.
Have you seen that new I think it's on the Disney cruise where you can ask Crush from Finding Nemo questions and he'll reply to you I don't know if it's a guy back there doing it and it just translates into his voice, but you're looking at Crush for the Nemo character, but when he talks back to you, he answers questions, so we could have an interview with Crush. on Running Point.
That's what Anthony wants. He wants to interview Crush. So these are just oddball interviews for a day.
You're 150 years of life, Crush. Tell me, what's the best basketball you've seen come across this ESPN?
What's the best basketball you've seen? Oh man, we would have to put that that would have to be like a whole YouTube show then, because that'd be like, I mean, we're just doing skits then at that point, just talking to Disney characters. If you could get some of them to get like really into it too and like pretend like they know what they're talking about, or they know
Dale, man. Chip and Dale on Running Point.
Oh, that'd be fun. But I mean, it just shows the amount of growth we're seeing in these programs too. Louisville's another one of those. Coach Siegfried does a great job. And you mentioned Coach of the Year candidates. I mean, definitely, I think in the running too for it.
I mean, speaking about traveling too, I mean, we're going to see a handful of baseball and softball teams travel down to Myrtle Beach during spring break too. So, and those teams usually end up in some kind of district championship, some kind of regional, because they go out of state and they play big teams and they play the hardest teams they can possibly find. They take advantage of the break and spring break to go out of state.
Yeah, and I mean, why not? Why not?
That's like the disadvantage. I always said it because like if people are like, why can't we go and schedule big teams in volleyball? Well, remember, volleyball, there's no big holiday break during the volleyball season or football.
Volleyball is like
you don't have time to go out of state or go across the state.
Volleyball is like that. Volleyball ends in it literally ends in like 5 weeks.
A basketball, you got winter break, so you Christmas break, you can travel wherever you want.
Basketball starts in November.
Baseball, softball, you have spring break.
Like basketball takes up almost half the year.
It's 5 months.
Takes up almost it's the longest season in
I mean, you think about it, you probably start mandatory practices in October.
Yeah. So you're going
mid-October, and if you go this deep, you're going October, November, December, January, February, and March. You're going 6 months.
It's half the year. Even football is not that long. Football is 10 weeks and probably 4 weeks of practice.
Well, if you win state, you have 6. But
yeah,
if you're where the basketball team is now, so let's say like Sweet 16, that would be actually. Football starts with what? Okay, they've narrowed
football
it
might be 5 months because don't they start warm-ups and stuff like that in July?
Yeah, you do 2-a-days in the summer and everything. So if we're gonna count, I guess if we count mandatory practices for basketball, you got to count the mandatory practices for football. So yeah, it's probably like July to, if you make a deep run, the early December.
Yeah, because state titles usually are early December, late November. So yeah, I'd say so. I'd say that's about 5 months, and basketball's about 5 to 6.
But I don't know, like football's a grind because you're playing 10 games and it's obviously a lot more physical than basketball because you're hitting each other. But basketball is like game. You know, you're playing
2 to 3 a week usually.
Right.
Boys are playing Tuesdays, Fridays, and when we get late in the stretch of the season too, sometimes Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays.
There was last year where it was like every day we play whenever we can because it's crazy. We just have to get 22 games in.
This year was crazy with the weather some of those weeks too. We were having basketball every day.
Since I started, I think I'm going to make this statement. I don't know if it's true, but since I started working with YSN, I think this is like the most weather affected days for a basketball season that we've seen. Like last year, weather-wise, basketball season was pretty mild, thankfully, because it wasn't mild with COVID-19. The year before, I feel like it was a pretty mild winter as far as ice storms and snow days. So, I mean, we had 2 winters back-to-back where we didn't really get a lot of cancellations, but this year, Mother Nature was not happy with us for some reason, and we got hammered. It seemed like every week it was like, hey, here's a snowstorm. Okay, we're done for a week. Hey, here's another one.
We were having like boys and girls basketball games on the same night too, like 5 and 5, and I was getting.
There were a lot of boy-girl doubleheaders because of it, which I'm a fan of. I think
I love that too. I love that too. I mean, I don't know. I would never say abandon JV teams and everything, but I love doing it.
Never. One of the things
I love when you have those though.
one of the downfalls that I don't like about baseball, softball season is because you're going to varsity games and you're broadcasting varsity games. I don't get to see the younger kids play. I like going to JV games and watching the future of the program and trying to get to know these players that we're going to be calling in a couple of years. That way, when they come up, I don't know. I don't know like nothing about them or what kind of game they play. So I like watching JV volleyball and JV basketball, but with softball, baseball, it's like JV's playing at Struthers and varsity's playing at home, and you're not going to ever see JV play.
Yeah, and I mean it's unfortunate, but I mean I get why you can't.
Oh yeah, you can't do it. There's no way.
You can't. Time wise, you can't adhere to it.
I think this year I'm going to try to like if there's ever time where there's a day where there's a JV game but not a varsity, go watch some JV teams and try to just pick out what the future of these programs look for.
I love watching JV teams too, because then you get to see the younger kids that are working hard. Like I saw Deshaun Vaughn as a freshman last year, and now seeing him this year and the growth from when he was playing on JV last year to this year. Zeta Creaky, I watched her as a freshman on JV grow as a varsity player these last two and what she's becoming now. I mean, it's really cool seeing the growth of these players, and when you get to watch them, and that's why I usually try to get there as early as possible so I could watch some of the JV and just see how those kids play.
I'm because like JV is when I get to like be a fan, quote unquote. So people probably look up at that mezzanine at South Range and think I'm like a crazy person because I'm like pacing in the balcony trying to will the Raiders JV team to victory. You know?
Let's go.
Like there were sometimes last year when their JV was getting in some really tight games where I'd be like standing on the balcony trying to cheer on the team or whatever. So I can root for JV teams. I have to be equal for varsity, but JV I can root. So no rule against that. We're going to take our second break of the day.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. There he is. As we continue this Tuesday, Ty, I want to get this on this. I know usually Power Hour does on this day, but I hope I'm not taking away DJs today, because in OHSAA history on this day, on March 8th, 2018, Margaretto defeated Huron 84-82 in six overtimes in a district semifinal. But that's only the fifth longest in OHSAA basketball history. Only fifth. And that's six overtimes. So it got me wondering, what in the heck is the longest game in OHSAA history? And how long did it go?
I mean, at 6 overtimes, you pretty much play 2 games back to back then.
Yeah, almost. I think it wouldn't.
That would be about
a piece,
30, 24 minutes.
It would be 3 quarters, right?
Yeah, an extra 24 minutes. You almost play 2 games back to back. I'm
like,
talk about number one. Probably like it's got to be over 8, 9, 10.
If you would have told me 6 overtimes was just the 5th longest in state history, I'd be like, you're kidding me. That means something had to have gone like 8 overtimes, or if
2 games back to back.
If 6 is 5th, you'd think maybe there's a game that went 10.
That's ridiculous.
10 overtimes.
You're getting into like dangerous.
What point would you just say, let's just stop? We're done.
You're just putting freshmen out there, just like, please, somebody win this game.
We'll start again tomorrow. I mean, at that point,
we're tied. We'll start here.
You're playing at like 11:30 at night.
Oh my god, that's another thing. Like when it started,
like,
oh my god, it's like midnight then. Almost.
It's a JV game because all your varsity has fouled out by this point in the 10th overtime.
YSN's trying to stay for a post-game interview at like 1 a.m.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd be out of there. I'd be out of there quick.
Anthony leaves at like the 6th other overtime out of like 10.
Because I'd be like, I'm out of here.
He's like, this is done. This is ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. I'm out of here.
After it's 10 o'clock.
Like what Romo and Jamie did 4 overtimes last year with Poland and Springfield.
That was
ridiculous.
I
I think is the longest game on YSN's history for basketball.
4 overtimes. I forgot about that. I mean, you just reminded me that was.
We had 3 this year, and it was Romo again with South Range and Springfield. So he's done 7 overtimes in his basketball broadcasting career with YSN.
Just getting all those overtimes. I don't know how many. I've called a few overtime quarters. I don't think it's ever gone to double. I don't think I've ever called a double overtime game.
I've only even been in the gym for a 3 overtime game once, and it wasn't even with YSN.
Yeah, I've called a couple of the first game I've ever called with DJ with Fitch versus Talmadge was an overtime game with a game.
Fitch won on the buzzer, right?
Yeah, game-winning shot in overtime was the first game I called with Fitch. But I don't think I've ever called a double overtime game. I've called plenty of double headers, but I've never called a double overtime game.
Yeah, I can't even, like, there aren't overtime doesn't even happen that often. Like, I don't think I had an overtime game this year.
I've called a few extra inning games though for baseball, softball. I've covered quite a few of those. I don't know what's the longest inning one you've gotten to though.
Now I'm starting to think that too. Like,
I think 12 or 13 might be mine.
You've done a 13 inning game?
I think I've done a 13
on
inning
YSN.
Game. I don't know if it was on YSN. It might have been with Fitch prior when I was with their media.
I'm trying to like. You would think a game like that would stand out to you, but I'm not remembering any really extra inning games that I've done with YSN.
I know Fitch and Boardman did
exciting games that came down to like the last at bat or a walk-off I've done, but extra innings I'm trying to think, and it's like I can't think of any.
Which you've done walk-offs. I've done one walk-off for baseball, I believe. I did I've done one walk-off home run, and it was Tim Quinn with again Astro Falcons post 33 at Bobstein Park. And that was one of the first home runs I've ever seen in Bobstein Park. And Tim Quinn launched it into the trees, and that was really cool.
The regional game last year in West Branch's regional semifinal that they won, I think it did go into extra innings because it was raining. And we were sitting here like, how long is this going to go in the rain? And it went into extras, and I think West Branch put up like a big number in the top of an extra inning and then won the game in extras, if I'm not mistaken. And I did it with Alec Caberna. So.
There you go. It's always
it's always Alec.
Alec's always there.
So I can't remember for sure. Like if someone said like, hey, your whole bank account depends on whether or not that game went into extra innings, I don't remember if it went to extras.
They might be broke.
I think it went to extras. I know it was an exciting game, and I know I was thinking like Jordan Anderson's pitching in the rain, and it's starting to really come down. But I think it went extras, but I can't recall.
Anthony's just like,
Someone
I might
help
be
me.
broke after this bet.
Someone help me in the comments.
Anthony's like, someone get me this game.
West Branch versus was it Revere? Revere. West Branch versus Revere in the regional semifinals last year. Did it go into extras? I think it did.
With Alec Caberna.
With Alec Caberna. Look it up.
Big detail. Alec Caberna was there.
Here's my Royals mug that I won't be using this year because baseball is shut down.
Here's my Royals mug that doesn't matter anymore. He just throws it. Here's my Royals mug that's absolutely worthless now. Baseball doesn't exist. Replaces it with a college baseball mug next show.
I want to have, like, I know this is way off track, but we're talking about like what's on my desk right now. And, like Woody Page on Around the Horn, he always has a different saying on like a dry erase board behind him. I want to do that, but that's not original anymore.
You're gonna start doing
I have a different setup every time I'm in my room for Running Point.
I have a blank wall.
You have a blank wall.
I could literally hang
in a dark closet that I am sure is the entrance to Narnia.
It could be.
It could be. If you go back there, tell that fawn to give me back my sock. He stole it from the washing machine.
I'm gonna start just hanging like pieces of paper with a saying on them behind me. That's what I'll do.
Dare to dream. Dare to dream.
When
this wall will actually be decorated one day.
When they started the whole prison joke, I actually thought about adding like little like just dashes, just like going with it. But I was like, I'd forget a day, and then the joke would be
day
dead.
42.
But like, I thought it'd be funny, like if anyone would notice like the dashes, and then by like day 50, there's just a bunch behind me.
The dashes, and then like little games of Hangman.
Yeah. Hangman that I'm playing with by myself. I made the word up and I'm guessing the word.
Is it A? No, it's not.
It's not that one. All because I'm in my office of my house.
We've lost it today. We are so off track. We talked about Louisville. Let's talk about this Cheney St. Vincent St. Mary game before we get ready for Cary Palermo at 1:40 a little bit later. This Cheney team, my word, against Poland. I know it went to overtime, and Poland did a lot to make it no overtime. But I feel like that game came down to what Cheney had more of. I mean, more scores, more offensive weapons, and just like I said yesterday, it felt like because Cheney had a little bit more of everything, Poland ran out of gas in that overtime, and they couldn't keep this. They worked so hard just to tie the game that it was almost like they were exhausted once it went into overtime, and Cheney had this second gear that they put on. And well, also DJ Waller was pretty impressive in that game too.
I mean, they got so many freaking athletes at Cheney. It's unbelievable.
We're gonna make a shirt that says Cheney, so many freaking athletes.
I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of guys, double sport, triple sport athletes that they have that just go out there, leave it all out on the line, and I mean, fearless game in and game out. They have so many weapons too with Cheney, and I know they're going up against a tall task in St. Vincent St. Mary, and I mean, this is a perennial powerhouse.
Go watch the first half of that Cheney game and see what Cheney did so well to compete against that Akron St. Vincent St. Mary team. They pressed them. They made every shot difficult. West St. V's didn't have a great shooting half. And they ran on offense. They didn't try to slow the game down, sit in the half court. And a lot of teams against St. Vincent St. Mary, because they're intimidated by the athleticism and the speed they can score, they get into this stall ball mentality where it's like, we have to slow this offense down and try to keep the ball away from them and slow the game down. And I feel like that's just playing in St. V's hands because eventually they're going to score. You cannot stop them from scoring a lot of points. And if you don't score with them, you're in a whole lot of trouble.
Hey, and like we said, all it takes is one bad night. Hoban found that out in the girls' side too, and we
After
thought
seeing that happen, I am not going to doubt anything.
Cheney just needs to be on the ball, ready, focused for this game, and all it takes is one bad night for St. V's. They're just a couple of shots that don't fall. I mean, I think that's what it's going to come down to. So we'll see what this game's going to bring us on Thursday night. Let's go Cowboys, though. Do the unthinkable to everyone up there.
Howard in the comments.
Cheney will win only if all 5 scorers score in double figures. Sarah Palin and simple.
I don't. Well, look, they had all 5 players. They had 4 or 5 players in double figures against Poland. So that's not. I think he's saying it like it's out of the realm of possibility, or it's something that it would be miraculous if it happened. But all of 5 Cheney starters, especially if Clive Wilson is on the floor, which once again, we're sending all the good vibes to Clive Wilson. We know he went down in that Poland game. We don't know his status. We hope he's okay. We hope he's 100%. But especially with him on the floor, there are so many different ways that Cheney can beat you. And what I like about their roster is it's not all guys that kind of do the same thing and have different. There are guys that have different ways of scoring. Isaiah Williams, he's great off the dribble. He can drive right through the lanes. We saw DJ Waller. He's more of that like forward guy that can hit the mid-range jumper if he has to, but he can also throw his body into the paint and just dunk it on you, and he can run in transition. Clive Wilson is just the monster in the paint that can get in the box and back you down and then do a really good post move. He's got really agile post moves too. You can tell how good he is on the defensive line because he's shifty and he can kind of twerk his body a little bit. I don't know, twerk is I didn't mean to use that word, but for a lack of a better term, he can kind of wiggle. Shut up. He can wiggle his body a little bit, get right in front of you, get behind you. A little spin move here and there.
Cowboy up, Cheney. Let's go. Let's go, Cowboys. This team is. I think they can do it. I really do. I mean,
that's the second time I've done that on Ysn. By the way, I accidentally used that word, but I don't mean it.
Twerk.
Twerk.
It takes a sip. It's like, damn.
I'm just gonna sip the tea.
But hey, I thought Struthers could do it last year. They came up a bit short too. But you know what? I think Cheney has the advantage of seeing this team before, and I think that all the dividends.
Look, I think Cheney will have to play a really good game, but I don't think it's like one of those things where people are saying Cheney has to play perfect, and if they don't play perfect and St. V's has a really bad game, they can't win this game. I think Cheney has to play really good, and they have to have some things go for them, and maybe St. V's can't be on their A game, but I don't think it's Cheney has to play perfect and St. V's has to not show up, and that's the only perfect storm that will happen for Cheney to win this game.
Cheney's played the schedule too, to where if you look at them, you think, okay, they've played in realms with St. Vincent St. Mary. Obviously, St. Vincent St. Mary's had the opportunity to play a little bit of other competition too, like Siegfried said, Staples Center and stuff like that. But when you talk about Cheney, they've scheduled some of the toughest in the state. If there's any team that's under this YSN banner that's ready to take on the Irish of St. Vincent St. Mary, I got to say it's the Cheney Cowboys.
I have to agree with you. And they do the little things right too. Like I said yesterday, they have a lot of class in that program too. I mean, we saw, if you missed it yesterday, or if you were not on Twitter, after that polling game, the Cheney basketball Twitter account personally sent, I guess you would call them well wishes or congratulatory respect tweets out to Ross Dido and Christian Colosimo, and it was public, so it wasn't like they private messaged him, so everyone could see that he was showing that amount of respect to his competition, and that's something that you don't see a lot of coaches do, and it just shows you the class of the program.
And the thing, absolutely, the class of the program, and that's what I love about Cheney too, is that is that they bring that kind of class too, with every opponent that they face too. They respect every opponent they face, and they play a tough schedule too. And what you've seen with Cheney this year too, and what they've been able to do growing since they've come back as a basketball program, it's been nothing short of incredible. Credit Casey Bogert over there that he's done a great job hiring some of the best coaches and some of the best influencers to be in those places. I know Chris Emil had a cup of coffee in there for a few years, did great things with Cheney. He had to move on. Now he's doing great things down in North Carolina, but still keeping in touch with that Cheney program, and they're starting to build this family back up on the west side of Youngstown, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
And it's awesome that it kind of lines up with the return of the Steel Valley Conference too. So now we're getting to see these old school rivalries. We're getting to see Cheney versus Moody twice a year, Cheney Ursuline twice a year, Cheney East twice a year, et cetera, et cetera. And because of all that, we're getting some really good basketball. We have two teams that have played each other, both they're in different divisions, obviously. But you look at those Moody and Cheney games; they're so evenly matched, and they both kind of took punches towards the other. I mean, Moody won pretty handily, and then Cheney won pretty handily. So, it's no coincidence that you have two Steel Valley teams in the regionals right now for Division II and Division III.
Well, I was talking with Anthony Romo about this too. It was about these conferences too, and we were talking about when Jefferson does eventually opt out of the NE8, which team would eventually take place too. And we were talking about some AAC teams that could jump into that. And we also talked about if the AAC lost one of the teams and they became 4, I don't know the realistic possibility of it happening, but could you imagine if the AAC and the Steel Valley merged? Because they already pretty much play each other every season anyway, most of the time too. But I mean, just to get those guaranteed matchups too, I think the competition across the board is pretty fair too, and I think it would make a very tough 8-team conference. That is, providing one team opts out. Even if it was a 9-team conference, I think it would be a pretty tough one to try to grind through.
All right, so, I think this comment has to be read with the music, right? Because this is so you got to go. Ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang, walla-walla, bing-bang.
There you go.
What's that referencing? But, hey.
Cheney can win this game.
I told the love doctor I was in love with you. Okay. Thanks for getting that in my head. We've already seen that today is a day where I can just be off on a tangent easily, so that helps out immensely.
Speaking though of the Steel Valley Conference too, it's a perfect segue to preview this game with Camel and Mooney, because we saw and heard from the Camel side of things with Coach Canarino earlier in the show, and he was talking about the program and just getting up to this regional semifinal moment. And now we can get a chance to hear from the other side, and someone who fared very well in that Steel Valley Conference, battled the Cheneys, battled the Ursulines, and battled a very tough non-conference schedule as well, including beating a 1-loss team already getting into this point in the Springfield Tigers, Gary Palermo and the Cardinal Mooney Cardinals.
Yeah, he'll be coming on at 1:40, which look at the time, and I don't know, that should be here any minute. This kind of snuck up on me. I wasn't ready for it, but yeah, he'll be here any minute, and you talk about this Mooney game, and I'm sure he'll reiterate it when we talk to him in a little bit. The hero for that Mooney game was not Rocco Turner. It wasn't, at least the offensive hero, I should say. The defense was really the hero. But the leader for offense, it wasn't Rocco Turner. It wasn't Mick Hergenrother. It was Ashton O'Brien stepping up and putting like the cape on his back a little bit and hitting some big shots and giving that offense enough to beat Springfield. They didn't need much because they held the Tigers to 31 points. But I found it very cool that Mooney kind of showed that it doesn't have to be Mick Hergenrother and doesn't have to be Rocco Turner. They have some other players that can step up and score in big situations too.
And what I was saying back when we were talking about the Camel side of things, and what's interesting that Mooney brings to the table in this matchup too, is that very much similar to Camel, they have very different ways of beating you too, and multiple ways of beating you, multiple guys that could step up and score. And that's the beautiful thing I think about this matchup. There's so many just good basketball players that are going to be on the court at one time.
It's going to be so fun. So fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt we're going to be excited for it, and we're excited. We have an all YSN matchup, so we know regardless, we're getting YSN representation in the regional final.
Yeah, and let's look, while we wait for Coach Palermo, let's look at this other side of the region real quick and see who Camel and Mooney are fighting to play.
I was talking with Alec, and I said Lutheran East looks to be the tough one. That's the one I expect to make
Lutheran East. Well, I mean, I would be shocked if Lutheran East wasn't there.
I think Lutheran East is the one that Camel or Mooney, whoever wins, is probably the one they're going to have to go through to get to state.
Lutheran East is kind of the hallmark of Division III right now in boys basketball.
They've done some phenomenal things the last few years.
But they do, let me see real quick. They do have to play Norwayne. And they'll be the late game. So I don't know if you and Alec will stick around for that and try to catch a half of that or something, or if you're just going to be like, peace. But either way, Mooney will play at 6, Norwayne will play at 8, and the winners play in the regional finals.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand again that this was a Lutheran East team that was 14-10, but just if you take one look at their schedule of
Forget about it.
I mean, and the Cleveland, the Solons, the Garfield Heights, the St. Vincent St. Mary's. I mean,
you can't look at records. I mean, like, look at Cheney's record. It's not immaculate. Mooney's record isn't immaculate. They have 9 losses.
It doesn't need to be. And that's the thing when you see these schedules and you see the way that teams fare. I mean, there's no one solid way to get there, and some of these teams.
That's why I am still like baffled when coaches, whether I'm not even talking about in the area, but just coaches in general, will just try to rack up as many wins as possible and play teams that don't help them.
Yeah,
it's like sometimes I look at these schedules of teams we're preparing to talk about, and I'm like, what are you doing playing this team out of conference? Like that doesn't help you one bit at all. It gives you a win, which I guess is cool, but other than football, you don't really need wins. There's no point. Coaches are going to respect schedules anyway. I mean, coaches are smart enough to know Lutheran East plays a really good schedule, so they're not going to be hurt seating wise because they have that record. And I'm sure there are a bunch of 24-1 teams in the state that probably didn't get the 1 seed because coaches looked and said, well, yeah, but your schedule was kind of weak. So I'm still baffled at some of the decisions in scheduling and some of the times that coaches put getting wins over getting ready. And that kind of hurts them when they get into districts or regionals.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And I think
side note, you can't control your conference. So that's why non-conference scheduling is so important. If your conference is weak, you can't really do anything about it.
And that's why on the flip side, I don't see when I talked about Steel Valley and AAC possibly joining up, I don't see that happening because I think both those teams love having the ability to schedule so many non-conference games too. And they have the ability to add more competition as they see fit year to year.
Well, we have Coach Kerry Palermo coming on the show. Coach, we talked about you coming back on what was it? We had you on Friday?
I think Thursday.
Thursday, here you are.
Yeah, Thursday, because they moved the game, right? That's right. Happy to see you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good thing every time we link up. It means you're moving further. Before we talk about this matchup, let's talk about the way you guys got here with beating a very, very talented Springfield Tigers team. 1-loss team. We said in this one that you guys were technically on paper going to be the underdogs. You said that's exactly how you liked it. What were some of the keys you saw from the boys on this in this game to victory?
I mean, it was. I don't want to say it was a sloppy game, but it was a real grinded out kind of game. Obviously, Mick got in foul trouble really early. Got 3 fouls in the first quarter, and we had to adjust our game plan just a little bit. And we really wanted to get the game going up and down. We thought the more possessions, the better. For us. Then when he went out, we really couldn't do that. So we kind of went more in our ball screen motion offense and tried to slow the game down a little bit from the offensive standpoint. We just had to get gritty defensively. We were playing man early, and they're just, they have 3 really talented players, and we were picking up fouls left and right, and we just decided to drop back into a zone. We really weren't planning on doing that. We decided to drop back into a zone, and we got a stop, we got another stop, and we just stayed with it. Our kids seemed to get stops doing it. And obviously in a 38-31 game, defense and rebounding were pretty important for us down the stretch. And then, we were able to make a couple. a couple guys made some huge plays in our game.
Yeah, and one of the guys that I talked about him before you came on, but I'm going to give you the chance to talk about him. I'm going to talk about Ashton O'Brien and stepping up big for his team down the stretch and leading the team offensively and what he meant to that game, and obviously what he's meant to your team all season.
So Ashton, he's gotten better every game this year. I think it was just getting his feet wet with varsity basketball, him being a sophomore and kind of inexperienced, and, growing with confidence. But when we were down early, I think we were down 12-6. Ashton hit a couple shots to tie it up, or I think he hit a shot to tie it up, and then he hit 2 buckets to give us the lead, one at the buzzer going into half, and it was kind of the same thing. Beginning of the fourth quarter, I think we were down 3. They hit a big bucket to go up 3, and he came right back and responded. I think Mick found him in the right corner, and he buried a 3. And after we tied it up, we took the lead the next possession. I think Rocco maybe got a steal, Rocco Turner. Jackson Mino had a big bucket. Drew Pecchia had a couple big buckets. And then we really never looked back after that.
Talking about this matchup with the Red Devils, I think it's another one where, like I've been saying too, there's going to be so much basketball talent, I think, on the court because there's just so many guys that can do so many things well. It's 2 schools that is no more than 10, 15 minutes apart from each other, and you guys get to go down to Canton Memorial Fieldhouse to do it. What have you seen from the Red Devils this season? And give us some keys that what you guys are going to need to do well against them and what you guys are going to need to try to prevent them doing against you.
Well, another team that, I've watched a lot during the year, like I told you guys, I like watching a lot of teams in our district play. They were the 2 seed because they could have very well, justified being the 1 seed. I think when we voted, they had 1 loss early in the year and Springfield was undefeated. So, I think the tiebreaker just kind of went to people voting Springfield won over Camel. And, they're going to be the best team or one of the best teams we've played all year. They're extremely athletic. They run the floor very well. They force a ton of turnovers. They're monsters on the glass. Kevin Moore's their main guy, but they have a lot of really good other players, mainly seniors. Xavier Leonard, a lefty. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He's very good around the bucket, mid-range. Koros, number 11, strong guard, great on the glass, great finisher. Really good driving the basketball. Jamar Weaver, number 5, point guard. He's had games this year. I think he scored in 20, 25 points. They have 4 guys that can go off for, 15 plus on any given night. And then there are other players after that, and they're playing a couple freshmen that are pretty good. Number 4, I don't really have all their names in front of me. I'm looking at the scouting report right now, but they're a talented basketball team.
Coach, is it my question? I can't remember, Ty.
Yeah, it was, but I can I'm cool with talking to Coach Valera no more. Looking at this team though too, Coach, and looking at your side of the things, I think the one thing that no doubt has been so impressive to watch on this run in the tournament, your defense. Full court pressure and just the way you guys have been able to trap and just the IQ level of all these players too. We talked about that with Coach Siegfried as well. Talk to me about just the IQ and the defensive pressure that your team's been able to apply on these teams and just how proud you must be of them.
So it really starts when you're talking about the IQ, of all of our, I think our, like the 9 or 10 guys we have on varsity right now, all of them are like honor roll students. They're very smart kids. They're very intelligent kids. And they all really buy into their roles. We have guys on our team that can shoot it, guys that can handle the ball, guys that are good defensively, guys that have a knack for scoring, have a knack for rebounding. And they really know how to maximize all of their ability, with their pertaining to their role. And that's really not something, we could kind of put that together as a coaching staff and whatnot. But that really comes from them. Now, the IQ, the defensive IQ of it, when we teach them something, when we tell them we want to take something away or we want to implement a new strategy, or a different concept, those kids are just very bought in. It starts with the senior class all the way down on making sure everyone in our program understands what we're doing. And again, that, I guess that starts with us. That starts with me, then our assistant, our coaches. But, it really starts with the seniors, making sure everyone is bought in and doing what we're supposed to be doing. that's really it. I mean, these kids care about winning. They care about one another. I couldn't give more credit to them if I could.
Coach, you've been here before. It's the back-to-back district champions. You won last year against Waterloo, and now you're back here. How much is the experience of getting to regionals and winning a district and knowing what this stage is kind of like going to help you guys this year?
I think it helps. I think it definitely helps being through it. And, I was going to say, being in the field. We didn't play in the field house last year, so we played at Twinsburg because they tried splitting everything up because of COVID. But getting to this time of the year and just understanding how difficult it is to win a district title game and not taking for granted the opportunity, I think that's important for our kids. I think they understand that. I'd like to say we were just happy to be there last year, and that was the reason we lost. But no, we got beat by a lot better team last year. Luther and East ended up winning the state championship. They got to get playing. They got to get playing for Georgetown right now. He's playing Villanova the other day. But yeah, I think it definitely helps us. That we were. We played there last year. We understand the routine. Getting on the bus, making a long trip, and all that stuff.
Coach, I mean, just talking about the run that you guys were able to go on to, I think it's been impressive. But one thing I want to note, too, is that a lot of people talk about your kids, and you mentioned the IQ and just being honor roll students, but they've also mentioned them just being upstanding young men as well, too. And what does that mean for you as a coach, hearing these kind of positive things from outside sources talking about them being good characters and good citizens of society, good future citizens of society?
I mean, that's the most important thing, the winning and stuff, that's great. Hanging the banners and stuff, that's great. But if that's how our staff, my coaching staff and myself judged ourselves, that's really the wrong message we're sending to the kids. We give the kids a whole sheet, when they're a freshman about, what we want, what we expect of them of a Cardinal Mooney basketball player. And it talks about winning and losing. But if you look at the winning side, it has nothing to do with basketball. It has to do with being on time for class, has to do with, doing your best in the classroom, following the rules, being a good teammate, showing good body language, celebrating your teammates' accomplishments, always being prepared for practice, having your shoes, having your practice jersey. We talk about that's what winners do. And then the losing side of it is having bad body language, making excuses, not doing your homework, missing school or skipping school, stuff like that. And, the better we've got with those values, coincidentally, the better our basketball program has got, the better our team has got, and the further we've got in March. It makes me proud, when we have some of these big wins and some former players, we'll shoot you a text, telling me, hey, how's it going, coach? Love you. See what you guys are doing. You're doing great stuff, making us proud. And I'll ask them what they're doing. And they're like, yeah, man, I'm just getting ready to graduate, in the springtime, from college, or, just got this new job. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Columbus. I'm doing, and whatnot. And, seeing that stuff and knowing that these kids that we have, these seniors and these underclassmen are falling right behind them, whatever they do in life. Because none of these, we don't have anybody that's going to go to the NBA or anything like that. But, all these guys are going to be stars and whatever they're going to get into after high school and college, whether it's their career or their families.
Coach, you have one more practice before this game tonight, and the game's obviously tomorrow. What's going to be like the last overarching message or the final message to this team in the last practice before you guys gear up for this game tomorrow night?
There's a couple things. We always talk about, there's always a lot of keys to every game, but usually the main ones are, rebounding, taking care of the basketball, high percentage shots, stuff like that. We always tell our kids, just to control what you could control, being as prepared as you can be. That starts, with practice today, being focused. We're going to go for about an hour and a half today. You need to be focused the entire hour and a half. You need to understand the game plan. You need to watch film when you get home. You need to memorize the scouting report. You need to get your homework done early so you can get to bed early. You're not tired, in class. You need to be focused on everything you do. And, if you stick to that process and create those good habits, All that stuff takes care of itself. Now, as far as like the game is concerned, we've got to take care of the ball and we got to rebound. Camel's going to be hard enough to stop, just because of how well coached they are and how good of players they are. But we don't want to give them anything extra. We don't want to give them second chance opportunities. We don't want to, my old college coach used to call them atomic bomb turnovers. We don't want to give them any turnovers that lead to, direct points. It's hard enough to stop them, so let's not give them anything easy.
Coach, we wish you the best of luck on this tournament game on Wednesday down in the Canton Memorial Fieldhouse. I'll be there along with Alec to call the action. And hey, who knows? Maybe come Friday we'll have you on the show again to talk some regional finals games.
I hope so, man. I hope we're talking on Friday. You guys have been good luck.
I love it.
All righty, Coach. We'll talk to you again shortly.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
That was Coach Kerry Palermo, the head coach of the Cardinal Mooney basketball team, gearing up for a regional semifinal tomorrow against Camel, 6 o'clock tip in the Canton Memorial Fieldhouse. The other games happening on Thursday, remember, they're at the Civic Center, not at the Fieldhouse.
Both in Canton.
So Division 2 is in the Canton Civic Center, and Division 3 is in the Fieldhouse.
Make sure, hey, if you're going to be in the Canton area the next 2 days, might as well catch as many as you can, too. You might be able to catch 2 and 2 if you want as well.
Both are fantastic venues to play basketball in, and they both have their own unique kind of charm to them, I guess you would say. I think the Civic Center is a more old school, kind of gives you that feel. And the Fieldhouse gives you more of that modern day arena kind of feel that you're getting excited for.
I'm excited to see the Fieldhouse. I've actually never seen the Canton Memorial Fieldhouse, so I'm excited to get
on it, bud. Let's go.
I'm excited to see it in person.
All right, so tomorrow, let's preview tomorrow's show for you before we get out of here. We're going to have Gary Altizer like we always do, but joining us with Wrestling Wednesdays is going to be head coach of the Louisville wrestling program, Rocky McLaughlin. He'll be on with me, Ty, and Gary at noon to talk about his team. A lot of state qualifiers on that Leopards wrestling team. So we're going to have him. Also at 1 o'clock, we're going to be talking to Daniel Wedding, the strength and conditioning coach at Austintown Fitch, as he helps baseball, softball, track gear up for their spring season, and also some football players gearing up for the off season as well. So he does a lot of great work for Austintown Fitch. He's recognizable to a lot of people outside of the area. We had someone comment from New York that knew who Coach Wedding was in the softball team picture. So everyone seems to know who this guy is. We're going to talk to him tomorrow about strength and conditioning and what goes into it and what his kind of responsibilities are. Going to be a fun talk at 1 o'clock with him. Scotty will be on the show as always to try to stump Ty. Going to be a fun Wednesday. Don't miss it from 12 to 2.
See ya.
Well, we're not leaving yet, Ty. We got to promote our other shows. Come on, Casual Sports Podcast coming up from 2 to 3. And, Alec and Matt are going to have some fun. And then the Power Hour from 3 to 4 will get you through the day. We'll take a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2 with all those guests we talked about and more on Running Point, brought to you by